it will be not a theoretical lecture, but some kind of journey to the recent past. 3 years ago, we had 10th edition of Kaunas Biennial, which took place at the Central Post Office in Kaunas, which was built in 1932, finished in 1932, as the main Lithuanian post office, first of that kind, important of capital city. Kaunas at that time was temporal capital for Lithuania, and the building represented all the needs of young country to be connected to Europe and worldwide. So post office represents that Lithuania was establishing communication and writing letters, diplomacy, all important packages sent to the friends, family went through this building. Actually, building had important story also during Soviet period, because all telegraph messages and also international calls, they are possible only through post offices, and this was only one building in Kaunas city to call, for example, to United States, to Germany, to other countries. Of course, it was highly listened to somebody else. You couldn't have private conversations, so this was the place anyway somehow to communicate by voice message and by phone. Also, this building in Soviet period served as one of the places for to make damages to sound quality for the radio from foreign countries. Lithuanians tend to listen to American voice from Washington, special Lithuanian immigrants broadcasts. Also, Lithuanians were willing to listen for music, like Luxembourg radio, transmitted through London stations, but some high buildings in Kaunas and towers were used to put special equipment and to trigger the sounds that a population couldn't hear, the messages and music as well. So the building has many layers and many stories through its history. And then Kaunas Biennial was looking for a venue for its celebratory 10th edition in 2015, and we negotiated the place with curator Nicolas Bourriot, whom I will show you a little bit later. We thought about the building, which was already few years abandoned, state abandoned and empty place for several years, having only ground floor operational hall in service. And the architecture itself of the building speaks a lot about our national identity, and we heard a lot about national modernism yesterday, and this explicit very much in interior and exterior details. For example, this floor reflects national bedclothes patterns, and also in the previous slide, the pattern of windows, they are taken from a national costume, from sashes, from costume sashes. These kind of ornaments, interior patterns are also taken from embroidery of national costumes, from shirts of women. So, regarding our 10th anniversary, we invited star curator Nicolas Bourriot from Paris, France, who actually proposed the title and topic for a biennial main exhibition, Fantasmagoria, about distance. And the building itself served, and at the final slide I will invite you to look short video and short comment of Burio about the building, which was actually one of the art pieces which contained other art projects and exhibits. Curator came to Kaunas several times, explored the building itself, which was not white cube, of course, but had many has many separate small rooms for exhibits, and it's highly protected, like heritage protected building. So we, as usual organizers of visual art exhibition, had a lot of restrictions, starting from not having possibility to repaint the walls, which were not clean, of course. We didn't have possibility to nail the walls, so if we needed to nail something, we built extra walls from the distance from real ones, etc. and etc. So this was quite a challenge, but we remember this as a very nice experience, adventure. Upper floors of the building were not heated for 2 years because of heating system was collapsed, and nobody was taking care about that. So we had mold, dust, humidity in the building, and Biennial restored the heating system in order to have possibility to invite people there. So this is how it looked like when we entered. Just abandoned halls of previous office workers in the building. An installation process went in several weeks. Actually, building at this moment and in the preparation for Biennial didn't have any elevator system, so all heavy, boxes and packages were brought by hands of volunteers, and straight in the main operational hall we had press conference for the opening. And just to mention that 10th Kaunas Biennial had 17 exhibitions, and this was only one of them, but the main, of course, exhibition. Opening day, which usually attracts a lot of people, not only because of this is all artists are here and curators' talks are here, but also so many people said, okay, this time I came here not because of Biennial, but I'm very curious to see the building. So we opened at 6 p.m. and queuing, people were queuing till 10 p.m. Because we couldn't allow all of them. It was several thousand, so they were allowed for 50 people to enter, and it was really exciting moment when people could enter the places they usually never enter because it was just offices. And in some small rooms we blocked the windows, made dark rooms, and just a few examples I will explain. I will not explain artworks themselves, but the topic of exhibition was related about Fantasmagoria in a new sense, 21st century sense, that there is no more distance among any country and between any city, because, for example, this live streaming from 9 different places let us see and watch what is happening in very distant places, like in China was the morning and in Lithuania was the night. We had direct translations from many different places, and the concept of the artwork is by Roberto Cabo from Brazil. We were several more simple installations, and which reflected human curiosity for other planets and investigation of our solar system. Actually, a lot of people came to exhibition telling us directly that they are very interested in building itself, and some also artists, they tried to use the spaces and used them in very various and nice ways. Katie Peterson sent us installation of 9 watches, which shows time of 9 solar system planets. Each of them have different time and different length of a day and different length of year, and many other examples. And as I said at the end of presentation, I'll show you a short introduction by curator. At the exhibition, we usually have educational program, and this year it was many groups of young people, of children and elderly people having, for example, dementia, Alzheimer and other diseases were invited to take a tour through exhibition. We also had a lot of international guests like curators and students of curatorial studies and also arts from other countries. And the 10th Kaunas Biennial was actually marked by very big and huge visibility, international attention. So these are several structures which we built inside the rooms because we couldn't kneel, as I told, and some walls and needed infrastructure were built inside, not damaging existing ones. And on the left we see Julijonas Urbonas artwork, which actually is invisible artwork, but he made it's like these doors we are moving time to time, and then people they're entering corridor, they were just moving as some ghosts of modernism would be alive inside this abandoned building. And the story actually ends at the upper floor with installation of Darius Žiūra in collaboration with 2 other guys, one from St. Petersburg, another one from Dublin. Actually, installation is interesting itself. It's more than 2,000 kilos of books, which we had to bring to 3rd floor by hand. But it's not only about the weight, but the story behind the books is that all of them are stolen books. And I wouldn't, elaborate on this very, very interesting artwork. I have few catalogs here. I may send you to look through them. And also in my presentation, which I think will be published on our website as well, it's direct link to catalogs and to all stories of artworks as well. So this is our catalog online, and I would ask to see video.
There is no periphery anymore. I really believe that any part of the world now is containing all the other ones. And then, of course, you have the local specificities, very specific cultural elements, and history, which is different every time. And here, the distance from Paris, for example, is quite big, and it's nothing at the same time. So you have always within the same street sometimes, elements which are very far from you and elements which are very close to you. Here, the challenge is to create an exhibition in a place where there is no white cube, which is very loaded. We have a lot of little rooms, but it gives you the shape of the exhibition at first. So you have to work out of it and develop the concept for the exhibition which corresponds to the space, in a way. Sometimes, when you think about an exhibition, you have a first list of obvious people who because their work is really about the issues that you want to raise in the exhibition, or they echo those things. And then you do some research, it takes you a bit higher, and you finish trying to adjust these names and organize the correspondences between the different artists also. So sometimes it's an artwork that interests me, sometimes the whole work of an artist. There's no rule, you need both actually. Sometimes you need to pick a specific artwork because it's going to correspond to something else which is in the exhibition. Globalization of the world carries us, to a kind of huge proximity. Actually, we've never been so close one to each other, human beings. And for example, the production of images has never been so important in the history of mankind. We are producing tons and tons of images every day, and all those images sometimes travel all around the world. So there's a huge proximity, a human proximity, and then at the same time a need for distance somehow. People are trying to find that the desert is a very enjoyable place to be, for example. So we're in a time which is full of paradoxes, and distance is one of the main paradoxes of our times, actually. So it's interesting to see how artists are addressing these issues in their work.
Čia man įdomu ta kelionė, ta prasme, kad jisai prancūzas keliavo per šitus kraštus ir vėlgi tarp žodynų nėra prancūzų kalbos ir tas neišverčiamumo tada problema ir tada gali prisigalvoti, ką jisai mato. Čia toks kaip žaidimas, pavyzdžiui, susirandi žodį keliautojas ir bandai ratu judėti ir teoriškai gali apeiti.
Galime išjungti jau video. I would like to have the final slide, which is quite usual for any passerby walking through the city, but not for us Kaunasians and not for our guests yet. Because what is unusual in this picture? Lights, yes. And the last time when this building had lights on was the late December of 2015. And after that, building still is not in use. And after Kaunas Biennial entered the building, there were several cultural initiatives as well. And post office building belongs to government, which sits in Vilnius, not in Kaunas. Obviously, the officers don't go behind and in front of the building, so they don't realize how sad building is up till now. After 2015, next year, government decided to sell building, and they already got few to sell on auction. They got two propositions, but they didn't open envelopes, send it back, and change their minds. Up till now, there is silence from government position. Many community voices are coming up, telling that maybe let's unite our cultural resources and all communication resources. Let's buy this house by private, crowdfunding, etc., etc. And we also are negotiating and trying to meet the minister to which ministry belongs this building in upcoming months. So we still hope very much that this building should serve as a place to interpret modernism movement and the importance of modernity for our city. So the best usage of it would be some kind of modernist interpretation cultural center. But also we would be very happy if some businesses would develop their offices or some creative industries hubs. The problem with heritages elsewhere in Europe and abroad is that this building is highly protected to that level that even the colors of walls, interior walls are protected. Of course, structure of the building is like cell-made. A lot of, in each level, each window represents one room, so it's small rooms, not usually very comfortable for open spaces, offices, which are the main mean of collaborative agencies or businesses for today. Also, building doesn't have enough parking places for contemporary needs, so it has infrastructural problems. That's why we think it's not so easy to sell and to rethink its usage. But all of us who live in Kaunas are very deeply interested in revival of this building and some infrastructural changes, renovation of course. So thank you, and I'll be waiting for questions in the later session. And I sent one catalog to look around, and also this the same edition of Biennial we entered not only post office buildings but several industrial spaces as well in Kaunas city and afterwards in Croatia. So this is second catalog which you may look through. Thank you.